You're much welcome to Dimal Online Station and thank you so much for tuning in. This beautiful moment, I'm very much excited to introduce to you a very big show and a very exciting show known as Mom to Mom Show, where Kendi Njeru will be taking us through the show today. And my name is Diana Wamboy Kemani. Please stay tuned.
Hi everyone, and I'm grateful to be here today with Diana, Demal TV. My name is Kendi Njeru, and I'm excited that we're introducing this show with her. I pray that every mom, every dad will plug in as much as it's a mom's show, but you're here also to learn so that you help your wife or your sister and any other person around you. So the reason why I'm doing this is because I have a journey where I went through depression when I got my first child, and that's why the Lord laid the burden, and it became something that I always wanted to do, to help other mothers or families to be aware of what to do to prevent going through either postpartum depression, postpartum anxiety, and any other thing, because it builds up and gets worse if it's not treated. So let's go back to where it began. So in 2016, I'm married, and we planned for the next 1 year, no child, we're gonna have fun, and then we get pregnant in 2017. So here I am 5 months down the line, I realized that I'm pregnant. Well, I know the society expects you're married. What else do you expect? Tunangojea mtoto after ndoa. But we didn't react happily. Actually, for me, I sobbed for a while. And I told my husband, he went quiet for 2 weeks. I think he didn't know what to do with that information. And so I go into the mood of denial because one, I was not working. Secondly, my husband's business was also not doing so well. So we didn't know what to do if a child comes in, and we needed a lot of things to work out, but not at this stage. So here I am, and I got to know I was going through depression after I delivered and after I went through some counseling, but I didn't know I was going through depression. So my cycle was normal. I wake up, prepare breakfast for him. He goes for his business. I'm left home, but I go to bed. I'll sleep, wake up, take lunch, go back to bed, wake up at 4 p.m. because I was aware narudingi to 6, so I'll wake up, do my duty so that he doesn't know something is abnormal. But I didn't know it was abnormal because I did it until when I delivered. I was always sleeping. Nata kikuja after we've had dinner, you'd think because I've been sleeping throughout the day that I'll not need to sleep again. But at exactly 8 p.m. I'll be complaining of sleep, so I'll have to go back and sleep again. So that is not a good trend. We'll be talking about what you need to look at. So just listen into the story and then you'll know where we are touching in. So here I am. Though I didn't have a difficult pregnancy, we go to hospital and my baby exited with 2 weeks. So I got my induction and I didn't struggle. Within 6 hours, I was ready to give birth. And as normal, every woman will go into the ward, and after 3 minutes, after a few pushes, and the baby is out. But I took an hour. I pushed my baby for a whole hour. But when he came out, he was distressed. He was too tired. He didn't move. He didn't cry. And he had to be put on oxygen. Well, at that time, the only prayer I would make is, God, I'm not walking out with a dead child. And I kept praying that, and I thank God that after they resuscitated him for a while, the 4th time my baby made a sound and he was put on oxygen for at least 5 hours. After 5 hours, my baby starts to cry. And this time round, he decided to cry for 15 hours non-stop. So I had an assisted birth. So that means I had a very big tear. And I have to pace around with a child who is crying, and I'm tired, I need the rest. So we walk around with him, trying to get him to cool down. He also has the oxygen tubes on his nose, so I can't go too far. I'm walking around with him. And after a while, he cools down. Then after a few minutes, he stops breathing again. And the doctors have to come again and try to help him out with the oxygen. And the cycle continued. And after 2 days of being in hospital, I realized that my son's eyes were turning yellow. The good thing is that I had done a lot of study. I knew what to see. I knew a baby has to cry. If I see the eyes turning yellow, this means he has jaundice. So the eyes of my son were turning yellow. And I call the doctors and I tell them something seems to be abnormal with my son. His eyes are yellow. And they tell me, "We mama unatusumbua? Kwani hujui ulikuwa umezaa mtoto amechoka?" So they kept ignoring me. By the 4th day, my son had lost all his reflexes. He could no longer breastfeed. And a chapwa, they would pinch him, slap him, he wouldn't feel the pain. That means the reflexes were beginning to totally disappear. And at this time, I knew I needed a referral. because the son could not even help. My breast milk was not even helping and needed to be on phototherapy. So we pushed the doctors and we were taken to Kenyatta Hospital, and I was there again for another 5 days. So 5 days on this other side and 5 days on Kenyatta Hospital. So he's on phototherapy and he begins to do well. But remember, for the almost 9-10 days, I've not seen a bed, because I'm always seated trying to look at my son, because he would also twitch. It's a condition when a baby is distressed after birth, they will twitch. Maybe just before, I don't know, it can't, those are not convulsions. So kanajikausha, so anytime nataka kulala, kanaanza kustwitch. So I have to wake up, look at him and call the doctor. So I never slept, or I never even saw a bed for at least 9 days. So my son is okay and we go home. And he's okay for the first 2 nights. Remember, I'm too tired. All I want is to rest. And we go home. My son is okay for the first 2 days, and the third night, actually the third day, he begins to cry uncontrollably. Anyone that is holding him, he can't cool him down. He's crying, we are pacing around with him, I'm too tired. And this is where now I think depression was kicking in, because again, we are supposed to take him to hospital for a checkup after 4 months, just to know that his brain was not affected, because if it is affected, that means I'll have a special child. And that was also something else that kept me on anxiety. So kakikunja mkono, kakifanya nini, I will always be anxious, because I will know now this is it. Kama chukamoja kakijifunga, he's done. So the cycle continued, and I remember after he was, I think, a month old, that's when now my depression got real. I would wake up in the middle of the night, I'm breastfeeding him, but I'm crying. And my husband will come and ask me, is everything okay? I told him, yes, I'm okay, but I'm still crying. Why are you crying? I don't know why I'm crying. I'm just overwhelmed. I didn't have a reason for crying. All I wanted to do was just cry. I felt everything was just a burden. And the nights I would sit and I'm wondering, probably this child has become so much of a burden. Ama mimi niondolewe niwaache. You know those moments where you're getting suicidal, and I'm thinking I need to leave. Something just needs to happen, because I felt everything was not okay. So there's a time I remember I will begin now to spank my son. Every time we would cry, nina kachapa, because I'm wondering, nimekunyonyesha, I have changed your diapers, you're clean, I've done everything, nimekumassage, hakuna kitu hatujatry na wewe, but you're still crying. And I slapped him. Then my senses will come back, I hold him and I'm crying and I'm telling him, my son, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to do this, I didn't know what I was doing. And we continued that way, and I will do it over and over. I remember this day when I held him and I threw him on the bed. Nikakatupanisha na huko, and I'm like, you're umenishinda, I am tired of you, I need rest, and you're not sleeping, you're crying. I didn't know what to do with him. After kukarusha ndio, after a while definitely, I'm back to my senses, and I'm wondering, what did I just do to my own son? So after 2 months, I was invited for a session. Na ungeniambia na go through depression hiyo time, ningekwambia pana. We all perceive depression as kuruka kichwa, and that is not the case. So my mentor then told me, Kendi, I think you're not fine. And I told her I am perfect. But she told me, can you share your story? And I began to tell her about my story, the off and in hospital after every 2 weeks, because they have to keep checking on my son and what I'm going through. I'm not sleeping well. And she got to a place where she felt, Kendi, you're not fine. So we began small sessions of counseling with her. She would call in, check on me, talk to me, and that's when I knew I was going through depression. So we go on with counseling sessions with my mentor. She is Joyce Washira, and I love you so much, ma'am. And from there on is when now my healing journey began. But it didn't come completely until after the 4th month, when we went for the scan, for the ultrasound, and my son was taken through the ultrasound. They checked his brains and they told me that your son is okay. I think that's where now I breathed in deeply and I knew now, my son, you're okay. You're not going to be special. Your mother has to be okay. And we began the journey. We walked with my mom, and I didn't know, as much as I went to share with people, that's where my healing journey also began, because I kept talking about it. I thank God I'm not crying, because singefika hapa mali nimefika kasili. Anytime I would share about his story, I would cry. But I thank God that this far I've come, I'm able to talk about it, and I've helped so many other women to open up, because talking is also healing. Now, I want us now to dwell on what you need to know. Now, that was just na hiyo story nimeiharakisha, ingekuwa mrefu sana, but I believe that whatever I've shared up to there, you're able to pick up and reflect on your life if you're a mother or you have a sister or a friend, and you're able to know and check what is wrong and where you can help. So I know we all call it postpartum depression, but they have 4 different levels. Everything is not depression. So we have postpartum anxiety, postpartum depression, postpartum OCD, and postpartum psychosis. So all these things are 4 levels, but it gets worse on each level if it's not treated. So we call them perinatal mood and anxiety disorders. So the statistics currently is 1 in every 7 women will go through either postpartum depression, postpartum anxiety, postpartum psychosis, or postpartum OCD. And OCD is obsessive compulsive disorder. Watu sana sana wana struggle na perfectionism. Like that is a struggle you have where everything has to be aligned to a certain color, the house has to smell in a certain way. We'll talk deeply as we continue. So 1 in every 7 women will go through these 4 symptoms of perinatal mood and anxiety disorders. Now, what a woman is going through at this stage is there are a lot of emotions that a woman doesn't know how to manage. And the first 21 days, we call them baby blues, because a woman is trying to figure out, how do I take care of myself? How do I take care of this new child that I have? How do I remain sober? The hormones are still also imbalanced. She's not settled. Her body is also not settled. So the first 21 days, it is normal. It will be normal for you to cry. It will be normal for you to either sleep a lot, lack sleep, lack appetite. But after the first 21 days, if it exceeds from there, you've now started going into now either depression, anxiety, OCD, or psychosis. So we've said that 1 in every 7 women go through perinatal mood and anxiety disorders, and there are 4 types of it. So there is postpartum depression, postpartum anxiety, postpartum psychosis, and postpartum OCD. And this, when you say postpartum, that means it's after birth. But we also have pre. When you've not given birth, you could also be going through the same things. But let's dwell on a woman that has already delivered a child, and there are things that they're going through and they're not aware what it is. So the first 21 days, we'll go through what we call baby blues. This is a period of a normal adjustment after having a baby, where the mother may feel physically or emotionally overwhelmed. And 50 to 80% of women can go through this after birth. So there are moments where you're feeling overwhelmed, you feel like you want to cry, you feel like you want to sleep a lot, you feel like you don't have appetite because your hormones are still also trying to balance, you're trying to figure out yourself and what do you do with this new child, because again, it's a new responsibility. But if it goes beyond baby blues, that is after 21 days, then that means you've now entered the depression part, the anxiety part now, where you need help, you need counseling, or you need someone that can reach out to you and help you through your healing journey so that you get a balance. Now, a woman will go through this when they are going through either depression, anxiety, OCD, or psychosis. You're either crying a lot for no good reason, you're too angry with the people around you, you begin to isolate. This is someone that is always social, she loves going out with people, but at this minute she no longer wants to be around people, she wants to be alone. And what happens with someone that is isolating themselves, they will lock themselves in a dark room. I remember I did want to, sikuwa nafungua madirisha, I will ensure that everything is locked, tukae tu kwa giza tutulie hapo, and that will look normal to me. Again, someone else that is also going through the other phase that is not baby blues will also be in a place where you no longer want to take care of yourself. It will take a call from my mom to take a shower. Tanipigia, saa 4 asubuhi, Purity umeoga? And I'm like, bado, what are you waiting for? Please take a shower. And she will call me every single day to take a shower. And until I go to where I will take a shower without her calling me, even brushing your own teeth. Just normal hygiene. The things that we assume are normal, to wake up, brush your teeth, wash your face, comb your hair, those are things I wouldn't do. I remember my friends came to see me and they looked at me and they're like, Aki, surely, si uchane tu hata nywele. For me, it wasn't bothering me. I'm okay. Si mimi niko sawa. Why are you bothered with my lifestyle? But I didn't know I wasn't okay until I knew that these are things that women will go through. And if they don't get help, they'll again need medication. You'll feel a lot of fatigue. And it also get to a place where you begin to feel suicidal, where you feel like you went to damage or end the life of either yourself or your child. And that's where now when you hear women have either dumped their children or mawacha mahali, do not be too quick to judge. Please figure out what is going on with that mother for them to do such a thing. What is going on with a mother who is spanking a newborn, because it's not normal for you to beat or spank a new child. And we expect that motherhood should be amazing for each and every person, which is not unless you reach out for help. So, so having mentioned what you will expect to see, the symptoms of a woman or a mom that is going through depression, we've mentioned them and I'll go through them fast. And this is either during pregnancy or after pregnancy. You will either sleep a lot, you're crying a lot, you're angry, you're so irritable, you don't want to be around people, you isolate yourself, you don't want to be in a well-lighted room, you always prefer a place that is dark and you want to be alone, you no longer want to talk to people. And the normal things that a person will do, normal hygiene, waking and checking up on yourself, will not sound normal to you at that time. And when you begin feeling suicidal, you feel like you want to end your life or the life of your either born or unborn baby, then that means you're not okay. Now, there are a few triggers. I know you wonder, why will a woman or someone go through this? There are a few things that will cause or make a woman go through these symptoms. For me, I remember I'd mentioned I was not working. So for us, finances were not working out at that time. And we kept wondering, if this child comes and we don't have money for diapers, money for my food, how will we survive and how will we bring up a child? So those were triggers that continued, but I didn't know. So there could be financial struggles. Also, lack of support. If you don't have a supportive system, either friends or your partner is not supportive, you will go through those symptoms. Something else is if you've had issues with your partner, maybe baby daddy issues, you got pregnant and then your partner ran away, or someone just denied their pregnancy, that could also cause a woman to go through depression. If you've had a difficult pregnancy, there are those women that vomit from the first day of pregnancy to the last. That is a difficult pregnancy. No one wants to keep vomiting every time, and it becomes very overwhelming for a woman. Something else that will be a trigger also is a woman that has to be put on bed rest because they can't now work normally, because now what this does is it will affect your normal day-to-day duties. So a woman is put on bed rest. This is going to also affect their lifestyle. And a woman might go through depression or anxiety or OCD or psychosis in these periods. Another trigger will be a difficult birth. And remember, I've mentioned mine was a difficult birth. I pushed my baby for an hour. The normal timeline that is given is 15 minutes, where you push a baby and they're done and you're out of that room. But I took an hour. So there are women who, you push your baby for 45 minutes to 1 hour, you're also overwhelmed. We also want to look at a woman whose birth plan was to give birth normally and it has to be an emergency. And you're told that now it has to be a C-section because your baby needs help, or you need to be rushed also for help. So a woman could go through also those stages, the 4 stages, if the birth plan also shifts. Something else will be a woman that gives birth to a child and they're told that the child is special. And the thing is that you will not realize immediately, but after a few days is when now you begin to note that your child is no longer developing as normal. But I'm here to tell you today that it's not the end of the journey. I went through depression and I'm here, and that is why it became a passion, and I keep sharing with women, and any person I meet out there, I want to tell them that there is always healing after or beyond the traumas that you've gone through. So there are a few things you can do as a woman or the people around the mother, the new mom, to help her with the journey, to ensure that mommy is healthy and baby is healthy. So, to the mom first, are there things you loved to do before you got your baby? Go for it. Go for walks, listen to music, dance along, get yourself whatever you like, go out with your friends and have fun. The things you can also do, if you love drawing, come on, unapenda kucrochet, anything you can do to make sure that you remain the person you were before the child, ensure you do that. To the next person, that is the people around the mother at that time, the support system. Are you a sister? Are you their mother? Are you their husband? Whatever a new mom needs at that time is a lot of rest. And if a mother rests, that means she's able to produce a lot of milk for the baby and she will take care of her child better. So ukifika kwa nyumba, if you're the partner, how about you rest kidogo and you tell mom, How about you give me the pumped milk, I take care of the baby as you sleep. Let the mother rest, acha lale kidogo, or you take turns even in the night. When the baby wakes up, isikuwe ni bibi peke yake anashughulika. Also take up your baby and ensure that mommy rests at that time. Kama ni clean up, are you able to take and clean up after her? Usiache anze kufanya a lot of rolls immediately after birth because her back needs to heal. Kuna vitu hawezi fanya until 3 months are over. So allow your woman to heal because if she's well, you are also okay. You don't want to have a woman that is angry, irritable in your house. But that thing will only happen if you're offering a lot of support. To their friends and the sisters and anyone else that comes to visit, what a person again needs is rest. So Kikuja, apart from you listening to her birth stories and what went on with her birthing story, how about you clean up after her? Go to the kitchen, wash utensils. Kama akona nguo chafu, how about you clean up after her? Wash the baby clothes or whatever else you can do apart from just sitting and listening to her stories. Something else you can do, mom, if you're feeling you're irritable, one of the things I will also do is, I was told mtoto akilia atakufa. And what will irritate me is my baby crying because anytime alikuwa analia hiyo kilio yake nilikuwa nasikia ni kama it arouses me to a lot of anger. So I was told to step out and I will step out and I will go out na mwachapo alie kidogo ninatoka nje. I will take my 7 deep breaths. You breathe in the heavy breaths. Take 7 of them. Ukishamaliza kubreathe, unarudi kwa hiyo nyumba umetulia, ile hasira ulikuwa nayo isha disappear and you take your baby and you will smile at your baby and ensure that you calm your child because mtoto wako ana njia nyingine ya communicate. The cues of crying is her or him communicating either I'm hungry, I want something, or I'm irritable, I'm not feeling fine, because babies go through their own seasons too. Something else you can do is take walks. Take a lot of walks and also talk to people about your story. Talk about what you're going through, your silence or the ignorance, because I kept telling people, nikiambiwa uko sawa nawaambia no, I don't think I'm going through depression. But me talking about my story got me to a place of healing. So talk about your story, talk about your story, talk about your story. So I will take us back to a few of the triggers that I had not mentioned. One of them is a child that is in the NICU. And probably this is usually because of either a child that is born in distress and you have to stay in the NICU for quite a long time, or a preemie child, a baby that is born before their due time. This mother is always going through a lot of cycles, and it's because you are unsure of what to expect after every single day, because when you walk into that NICU, there is always some sad news for another mother. So you don't know what to expect, and your anxiety levels are always high. So that is one thing I had also not mentioned. Another thing is trauma, untreated trauma. And this is how I want us to look at trauma. The things we've gone through as women that become triggers when you get pregnant. Probably you've gone through sexual abuse or you've gone through bad experiences. And at this time when your hormones are not balanced, a lot of things keep kicking in. So I want you to look at a wound. To imagine tu kidonda. I know it's filthy, but this is how I want you to look at trauma so that you seek out for help. When you look at a wound that is not treated, ni kidonda iko hapo na iko exposed. Huyu mtu hajawahi fikiria kupeleka hii kidonda either kuwe treated na daktari, aipelekangi for dressing. They decide to just leave that wound. And I want you to imagine ile a deep wound, si kale ka kidonda umejikata na kisu, a deep wound that is somewhere and it's left there exposed. What do we expect to see kwa kidonda yenye kwa exposed? Ni inzi ukuja zinakanyaga hapo. I know this is filthy, but this is what is happening to someone that has not sought for help for their trauma. So hii kidonda iko hapo iko open, inzi zinakanyaga. There's a lot of infections saa zinaanza kukula hiyo kidonda and the wound gets deeper and deeper. And because this person will not go to hospital to be treated for this wound, this means it will get worse and worse. Na venye inaendekiwa worse, one day anaweza enda kwa hosi ambiwe tu we might have to amputate either your hand or your foot because you just didn't decide to go to hospital to treat your wound. And this is what it looks like for someone that is going through a lot of traumas. Is there things you've gone through from your childhood that could be becoming a hindrance as you're growing up? Would you please seek out for help? If you went through sexual abuse, if you've been in an environment where there's a lot of domestic violence, because that also becomes a trigger when you are pregnant and probably your partner is abusive. These are also triggers. This means you will go through depression when you deliver your child or even during pregnancy. And one of the things I would like us to also know is that there's something known as infant mental health. We assume that an unborn child will not be affected by the experiences we are going through. But this is what I would like to tell you. A baby could be inside the womb, but their spirit is not young. Whatever you're going through, kama unashindanga ukilia, remember your child is receiving anything that is going through. If you argue in front, not in front, if you're arguing with your husband, your child is taking in that. So any form of distress that you're taking in as a mother, it goes to your child. And what happens to a child that is born in this state is they will go through mental health. And this is what you'll see, because I saw this with my son, and it's because I didn't mention I was a crying baby. Throughout, in as much as nilikuwa nalala, pia nilikuwa nashinda nikilia, because I was in denial and I kept asking God, huyu mtoto unamleta sahi wa nini? Like, usiwache nikuwe na mimba, all those things. I kept complaining. And I would cry. Apart from sleeping, I cried a lot. And my son became a crying baby. Mtoto wa leo, though we are managing it, but he became a crying baby. But it's because of what I was going through. Any emotion you go through when you're pregnant goes to your child. And another thing you need to know as moms, that when you're in distress, that means your heartbeat is faster. The heart rate, when you gonga in a speed up. Something else is your blood flows faster than the normal rate of your blood flow. So a child will always tell when mom is not comfortable, when mom is anxious, and they tend to refuse. Ama unamshika na anaanza kulia zaidi. I remember I would give my son to someone else na namshika na anatulia. But akirudi tu kwangu anaanza kupiga nduru. Why? I was anxious. Every minute you're anxious, your baby will always know when you're not okay. So please, moms, if you're going through something and you don't know if it is depression, it is anxiety, or it's psychosis, kindly reach out. We are here. Our contacts are going to be there. We do counseling. We talk to women. We screen women and ensure that a mother is safe and a mother is healthy, so that you bring up a healthy child. Another thing you'll need to know when you're going through depression is that your breast milk, the milk production will also go low, because your brain is not rested, your body is not rested. So ensure you get a lot of rest. And if you're going through a stressful moment, reach out to someone who can talk to you, or talk to someone and get help, so that you have enough milk production for your baby, so that you bring up a healthy child. How about we leave it there today? We are going to pick up on trauma. We'll talk about trauma, what is trauma, what trauma does to you, what trauma does to your unborn baby, and how do we help our children heal from trauma. This is Kendi Njeru. Have a good day.